So I understand. I finally understand why people have such an issue with Algorand. The ethos with crypto is freedom, decentralization, separation from the traditional powers, getting away from government, stuff like that. But see, Algorand tends to focus directly into that direction. All right. Now, there are both good and bad sides to that. When you think about the fact that, yeah, you'll be getting further away from the general populace and their thinking, but at the same time, you're aiming directly at the most valuable use cases in the world. Algorand has just joined the United Nations Development Program, and starting in 2024, UN employees around the world, almost 22,000, will be trained on the Algorand blockchain. Now, listen. I've seen the United Nations get involved with crypto before. Earliest accounts were they set up a relationship with Engine to create NFTs for municipal purposes. Then you fast forward a few months and Stellar Lumens is working with the UN refugee, their division, to help with aid disbursement, refugee finances, things like that. But Algorand, every time I've read a story about Algorand in the last couple of weeks, there has been one term that immediately jumps off the page: digital identity. Now, the reason why I'm so excited about that, or concerned, is the fact that when we did our Agenda 2022 and Agenda 2023 search, where we took apart the guidelines, the framework coming down from the IMF, FSB, and World Bank, telling us what we would expect from this market over the next 2 to 5 years. Stable coins, we've seen it. Proper regulations, we've seen it. The next stage in their plan is digital identity, ladies and gentlemen. And we're starting to see the coins, the projects that focus on that, rise to the surface. And what's so hilarious is Algorand is honestly the only one with this capability that's been practicing with it. Now, again, it's a double-edged sword here, because when you talk about digital identity, you are talking about a central place having a lot of control over a lot of information. However, no value will come to this chain if they don't target massive use cases like that. So, again, double-edged sword here. But Algorand, like I said, guys, I've been covering Algorand ever since I got into the space. And I have been amazed with what they have pulled off in the last few years. The Bank of Italy, the Digital Monetary Institute, the list really goes on. Algorand is definitely the Batman of crypto. All right. Because during the day, you don't see him. He's just Bruce Wayne, another rich billionaire. We see a bunch of those. But at night, when ain't nobody looking, Algorand is coming to get you. Let's dive into this story. The United Nations Development Program has partnered with the Algorand Foundation to launch a blockchain academy in a bid to train staff on the technology. Speaking at the Algorand Impact Summit on November 30th, Robert Pacico, a UNDP expert, announced the partnership to drive sustainable development as the agency performs its core functions, including poverty alleviation. Now, just want to drop this in here because it's another important aspect. And if you're holding Algorand, you need to be aware of the SDG goals, because let me tell you, Algorand is definitely one of those who is motivated by these SDG goals. I'll just keep it that way. And if you don't know, the SDG goals for 2030, they include poverty alleviation, financial inclusion, the environment, women's rights, a whole bunch of stuff. Funnily enough, yesterday we covered a story about Algorand where they're looking to promote a all women bank financial platform, right? Self-Employed Women's Association is branching off into India. So all of the applications on Algorand fit into these goals, guys. And I'm just going to leave it at that. But let's finish this. According to the press release, the Algorand Foundation body responsible for the development of the network, will launch a blockchain academy in 2024 to equip over 22,000 UNDP employees globally with associated skills. In a quote from Algorand, they state that the academy will launch in 2024 and is designed to bolster UNDP staff capacity through education and training in blockchain technology and its particular applications for sustainable development. Now, that piece right there may not sound like the most exciting, but you have to look at it from the long term, because now these people are getting educated on Algorand. So it's not a thing where they're like us, they're researching Algorand. No, they're being taught curriculums based on the technology. So once they get past that, once they learn the operating system, it's going to affect their bias, right? So once they do realize that I can invest in this technology, they're going to have a much different perspective, and they're also going to tell their peers about that perspective. And because their peers are aware of their position at the UN and the fact that they've been educated for the last 6 to 12 months, probably before they made this decision, yeah, that's how these things work, guys. It's what they call a network effect. All right. So with educational advancements like this, that's what you really got to look at. You're teaching them now about the project as opposed to selling them the project. And that has a completely different impact. Trust and believe, guys. But let's jump forward to some of the more shocking things, okay? Like for example, Distributed Ledger Technology Education Program will consist of lectures, assignments, and workshops tailored for employees across 170 countries. This is the world. This is the world, man. Algorand DLT technology is about to be taught to the world. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. Over the years, several international organizations have leveraged DLT to solve problems in diverse industries, leading to wider research and adoption of the technology. The recent Algorand and UNDP partnership highlights 4 cardinal issues: financial inclusion, supply chain transparency, real-world asset tokenization, and digital identity. All right, I told you, guys, it was coming. As the UNDP goes on its social welfare mission, people in disadvantaged rural areas need to be brought into fiscal planning and development to reverse the trend of the unbanked population. Bringing financial services closer to every community will solve poverty in many ways, as people have the right incentive to create businesses to cater to people in broader towns. For more efficiency, supply chain transparency is needed to tackle production and distribution issues, from food production to pharmaceuticals. Algorand has a medical platform. I can't recall what it is right now, but they do. Blockchain can automate the entire process, saving costs and expanding businesses. There is also the reoccurring issue of fake and substandard products. Using DLT will aid in that. Traditional financial firms are moving towards tokenization of assets. The United Nations and other international organizations look to bring the initiative to more countries as part of broader plans towards sustainability. And finally, digital identities will be created to ease operations in multiple countries. So I also stumbled upon a headline this morning. Well, it was actually a video clip from ICP founder Dominic. Can't remember the last name at the moment, but they're launching a program in Indonesia. It's called Indonesia On Chain. And what I drew from it was the fact that, okay, I get the infrastructure play here. So what these chains are looking to do, why they target the unbanked and the small to medium economies, things like that, right? Because it's those economies that don't necessarily have modern technological infrastructure. And what these crypto projects are providing is just that. They're giving them modern operating systems. They're giving them modern coding languages. They're giving them modern financial tools. It's easier to implement these things in smaller places, in smaller regions of the world with smaller economic activity. It's easier to manage. And reading a story like this really put that into perspective for me. So there is a much broader map when you look at this crypto adoption thing in it with a broad lens. If you really want to be on fire when it comes to picking certain assets, you need to figure out where the small emerging markets are, because it's the emerging markets that are attracting all of these crypto companies. That is why I report on the assets that I report on, because they're focused on these emerging economies. And Algorand is definitely one of them. But let me know what you guys think about this. You holding Algorand? Let me know your thoughts, man. It's been a good ride so far. Looking at Algorand this morning, I think we just cracked 13 cent, if I'm not mistaken. Where's Algorand here in the top 50? Facts. Not in the top 50. I know it's at 13 cent. I had this paperwork printed out here. Anyway, let me know what you think, guys. As always, you know what I'm going to tell you. Have a great day. Have a prosperous day. Most importantly, always remember that if the money is digital, so is the hustle.